I have seen this movie 3 times already, and I have so many thoughts, and I've gone up and down, and was it good? Was it bad? And I'm definitely here to set the record straight. What is happening, folks? Welcome to another episode of Nerds at Night. How is everybody doing out in podcast land? It's always great to see y'all, and so frequently this week, right? Because you guys know we're gathered here to talk all about. If you guys saw it, I just released my sort of initial thoughts and also how I was able to solve who the killers were in this movie. It's funny. You don't need a lot of clues. The movie kind of makes it very easy for you. If there was ever a Scream where you want to start to become a nerd detective and figure it out, I think this is a really good one for you. But I didn't include all of my thoughts. I did leave my review, ultimately what my review was of the movie, but there was so much that I left off of that review because I knew I was going to do a longer one. And you guys know I can't do it alone. So today, without further ado, let's bring on one of our favorite guests on the show. He's been on Whiskey and a Mystery. He's come and done all the trailers with me. We got so much right together and predicted so many great things, so many, I think, important things about this movie. You guys know him. You guys love him. Our brother from the north. It is Mike from Whiskey Morgue.
First of all, the intro. I finally made an old-fashioned, just inspired by the epic intro. Dude, I'm glad. You know what? I thought you'd get a video out right away, which you did. But super appreciative that you're having me on here to do this with you because,
of course,
I feel like we've been on this ride together and
since November.
Yeah. When you really think about it, since November. And it's been this amalgamation of just thoughts and ideas, and here we are on the other side now, and we
made it through. And it's only right that we debrief, like you said we had to. We've got to debrief about it, and we've got to get our thoughts out because there's a lot that happened in this movie. There's a lot of thoughts going on the internet, and I have my own thoughts, and I know you have yours. I think the best way we should probably do this is from the beginning. We're going to break this down act by act. It's a 3-act movie. Yeah. We go act by act. I think we're not going to miss anything. And also, I think we have a fun comment to get to as we round out all 3 of the acts because the people have spoken. They have thoughts in the comments. And I want to answer some of their questions. And hopefully through this discourse, we can answer some of their questions already. And I think people are asking me, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I wanted to save it for this. Yeah. So, Mike, because you came on, you are my guest, man. Let's start with just give me initial thoughts about the movie, how you feel coming out of it, and then we'll just sort of go through all the highs and lows of Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
So watching it, okay, I tried to avoid. I watched Spoilers. It on Friday. Yeah, I watched it on Friday afternoon. And even then, I was seeing things trickle in online. And mostly just kind of reactions about whether it was good. And it was very polarizing. This is awesome or this is complete garbage. And I was just what am I going to expect? But initial takeaway is that I can see how it both exists, man. I feel like if you don't want to look too far into it, I would say I enjoyed 70% of the film. There's flaws and we'll talk about them. But I feel like it wasn't that horrible, and then just things unravel. And I said, you know what? If this was an analogy, because I'm a teacher, this reminded me of the student who is highly capable, and they usually get 80s, 90s, but this one they threw together the night before. They kind of got too confident,
right?
And there was a lot overlooked. And a lot of editing needed.
Oh, yeah.
and you could see the bits and pieces, and they're a bright student, but unfortunately there's just too much distracting from it. So I guess that's a good way of kind of setting the tone.
A lot of untapped potential in this.
Yes. I'm writing report cards over here, Blake.
I hope I'm on the better side of that report card. Just FYI out there. I will say this too. I love that. I have seen this movie 3 times already, And I have so many thoughts, and I've gone up and down, and was it good? Was it bad? And I'm definitely here to set the record straight. It's not a great movie, but much like you, I am in agreement. Like, there are certain parts in rewatching it 3 times where I'm like, I enjoyed. I still laugh at that bit. I still go ooh at that bit. I'm still like, I'm having fun with certain moments of the movie. But when I stopped and I came to think about it, and other moments, I'm like, that don't make no damn sense. It don't make no damn sense if there's an attack in Woodsboro, but these people are in Pine Grove, Indiana. You telling me the killer flew overnight, took the red eye back to Indiana? You telling me that's what you're telling me?
For a second, and speaking of teaching, my other teachable is geography, and I know enough of the U.S. Like, even though I'm up in Canada, so I know my American map quite well. And even for a second, they had me fooled, and I was like, wait, where? Like this sounds like it's an hour drive. like it sounds like they're just hopping in the car and booting it for an hour.
Going down to Stu's house for a little family burning down there. Just burn down the family house,
Yeah.
And I didn't know. I didn't catch until the second watch, and I looked at Joel McHale's badge, and I'm like, they're in Pine Grove, okay, but it said state of Indiana, and I was like, this makes even less sense than the first time I walked away from this damn thing. That don't make no sense. Us meeting the killer, one of the killers, so far down the line in the movie, like almost halfway through in Act 2, don't make no damn sense.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of things when you step back, and especially the ending, and we'll get to it too. Again, I want to give some highlights a little bit without going too deep, but especially that ending. Once it came to the ending, I was like, okay, I got it. I got this right. Like, I felt really good. And then the motivation came out, and I'm like, I felt really bittersweet. I'm like, yep, I got it right, but what a horrible one to get right now.
I think exactly what I texted you, because if you're listening in, Blake and I purposely didn't really share much before coming on here. We kind of like kept it to ourselves. But I did kind of say my one thing that I did say is, I'm like, kind of based on what I predicted and what I wanted, I almost got that, but to a fault. Like I in the predictions, I was like, yeah, I kind of want this, someone who's not super involved or attached, but like the motivation, there still has to be a motivation. There has to be a better, some connection there. You need something. Right. And I feel like when they try to connect the dots, it just didn't land, and it felt like it was very far-fetched. It's like, we used to do yoga together and now we don't, and you're busy.
The book that you used to inspire millions of women, well, I used it to kill my husband. Isn't that great? And you're like, no, they're not. I don't think that's what Sydney meant.
Right.
You're like, you get it, Sid, you get it, right? And Sid's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, you sure know a lot about me for another asshole hiding behind a voice changer.
Yeah, again, I think we have a lot of thoughts. And again, we got a lot right too, and I'm sure we'll touch on those points as we come across it in each act. But let's start from where everybody should start from, in the beginning.
Yeah.
There was a house and it caught on fire. But we saw a lot of this beginning already sort of unleashed in the trailers and the promotion materials for this movie. So I think everybody sort of had a clue as to what would happen. And I know some people were like, maybe that's middle of the movie, but I think we all knew, like, that's how they're going to open this movie. It makes sense. Like, okay, you burn down what started in the beginning just to set up the rest of the movie, that this is the tone that the killer is going into. Walk me through, as you're watching it for the first time, and you're feeling, kind of what's going to happen in certain scenes. You don't in others.
Yeah.
Let me know your thoughts coming out of that opening scene.
Yeah. So the opening, what's funny, because I watched this once, you've watched this 3 times, but even only watching it once and thinking it through, my initial reaction was, I enjoyed it. So I was like, this is fun. I love the Airbnb concept. I felt like it was like a lot of tongue in cheek. We get a variation of the trivia game because it's part of the experience. and off the bat too, what's his name? Like Scott, it's like acting all sketchy. And I'm like, okay, like I'm already kind of like, my radar is on, and I'm like, okay, everyone's a suspect. Let me see what's going on here. And then the phone call actually comes through, and I thought, like, that was cool. Like, and I'm biased because they had a people under the stairs question.
Or question in there, yeah.
I'm a huge, and we'll get back to people on the stairs making another reference later on in the film. But so the animatronic machine robot there. Again, I ate that up. I thought it was creepy. I thought it was like fun, because then after you're like, oh, like, you know, they kind of start realizing that it's not, and then everything ensues, right? And you know, he walks, the thing's in flames. It's, you know, he puts gasoline on her,
on the gal,
yeah, and I'm like, yes. Like, now I thought about it after, and there's a ton of holes in what's going on there. But this is what I mean. It's like where it's like kind of, so like entertainment, if you're just kind of like naively, or I would say not naive, like ignorantly walking through it, it's like, bam, like there's some suspense and there's action, and I feel like it is fun. But then, yeah, when I sat with it later, I was like, did I enjoy it that much? I'm like, it's actually kind of problematic. So like my first take was that it was fun. I feel like it kind of held up in terms of like adding something fresh to the opening set. And I loved like setting the tone with like this Ghostface being menacing, he's coming for them, and you know, he means business. But yeah, like, but, and I'll let you kind of share your bit first, but the thing that I enjoyed, the animatronic Ghostface, later on I was thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, I don't know how that actually worked, you know?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I did have a feeling as soon as they lifted the mask off, and I'm like, oh, that's going to be the killer. Like, that's going to be where the killer is going to be. That's why they're lifting it up right now to show you, it's a robot. Oh, follow your
magic trick.
Yeah. Oh my God. But later, when it was when she went back to the room, I'm like, they've switched it out. So then when I watched it the second and third time, I kept looking in the background, because you can kind of see the animatronic model in the background. And I'm like, at some point, like, we know where he's holding the knife, like here, he's going to have to hold it lower or higher. Like at some point, like the killer's not going to get it 100% right. And I didn't notice it, and maybe I need to look a little bit closer. But I'm just like trying to have noticed, like, when did the killer switch it? Would have we been able to catch it, or catch like just some movement or something? And if that is the killer, that's not the killer calling homegirl. I still think that that's Scott. Yeah. Because we're only thinking that there's the one killer in the house. Well, how is he calling somebody without being noticed? You know?
Yeah.
And then you have to think about this too even more. I'm going to step back and dissect this even more. Who the hell, if it is the killer, if it is actually the killer calling her, how the hell would they know that they're in an Airbnb? Also, like, why is the killer even there? Just he's there randomly, and there happens to be people. Well, if that is the case, then, and they are random people, then he wouldn't randomly have their phone number. Like, as we know in this series, if the killer has your phone number, the killer is close to you. He doesn't just have random people's phone numbers. Like, he's got, if he's got your phone number, it's not a good sign, dude. It's not a good thing. So yeah, I did think though that kill of Jimmy Tutro, whatever his name is, when he gets stabbed in the head, is brutal, dude. Like, it felt like some
that's what I mean. I feel like
shit.
That's what I mean. I feel like, you know, if you kind of just take it on the surface, like there's a lot of fun there, the cool kills, and the animatronic is fun to have. But yeah, like but then as Scream fans, naturally, and this is where there's some right to this, is that like we are going to pick everything apart, because that's what you've taught us to do, right? And we've taught us the rules, and so the phone number, like, why is this random? Did you just like look up the Airbnb bookings and then like try to find this person's number? But also, to your point, like they had, in the long shot, like they intentionally, like, I feel like they could have saved their ass by having him move a bit. Or like just show you, or if you're clever, like you don't see him move, but you see the arm is different. If you're clever enough to pick up,
that's what I was looking for. Yeah.
But like it's like, no, they were showing you it in the background, but then like that almost doesn't help their case.
Exactly.
Because like then we should have witnessed something, or maybe subtle, that we should have picked up on. But where in there does the killer switch out with a robot when you have us seeing that in the background the whole time?
Yeah.
So logistically, it's not too sound.
Right. And then even the physics of like when homegirl falls from the second story and lands on the knife, Me and you talked about this. Opposite and equal reaction. Like this just he's gonna stab himself with the dull end of the blade. Like that's just how that's gonna or his arm's gonna break. I don't know which one of the two is gonna happen, but that's not happening. Things that are not happening, that's not happening. It does look fun for the movie, though. It does look really fun for the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought the opening scene, it would have been, I think it would have been so much funner had we not had so much revealed in the trailers. I'll be quite honest.
Yeah, I still had fun with it. Really did give us like 50% of it at least there.
Yeah, I mean, we knew they were gonna come in there. We maybe we didn't know every word that they were gonna say. We knew there was an animatronic. We knew there was gonna be a shot of the killer in the background. We knew the killer was gonna call her. We knew the killer was gonna chase her. We knew she's gonna land on a knife. Like we knew the killer's gonna burn the house down. We knew a lot about what's gonna happen. So like, where's the surprise for it? It would be as if like they ruined Drew Barrymore's kill, and then they're like, they show us a scene where she's there, and the scene where's the boyfriend outside, but like we don't know, and like then she's running, and then we see a scene where she's hanging from a tree, like you know what I mean, like all this stuff. We know the high beats, we know the highlights, we just don't know the detail in between. Like that's not gonna make me want to watch it if I already know what's gonna happen. So that was my only problem with that, and I thought it was a clever little line too, because there was a whole trying to set the tone of like Stu may be alive. So when they get there and the podcast is playing, and it's like, did you know that in Windsor College there was a sighting of Stu 2 years or a year after the Woodsboro murders? And it's a clever nod because in the background of Scream 2, at the party at the sorority house, Matthew Lillard is one of the extras in the background.
Yeah, that's clever.
So it's a clever nod. If you know that bit of like Easter egg trivia, they're like, yeah, Matthew Lillard was there, but they're taking like, as much as they were like, this isn't a meta movie, that is a meta thing to say. Like, if you know that was Matthew Lillard as an extra, and like they're saying it in a podcast frame, it's like, that was Stu. You guys know that was Stu. He was sighted at Woodsboro or Windsor College, and you're like, and I heard it. I caught it like the second time, and I for sure heard it the third time, and I was like, how funny! Like how funny of a little line like that. If you don't know, then this is funny. This is really funny. But then I saw where they were pushing the direction of like Stu wanting to be alive, because even the boyfriend's like, well, some people say Stu's still alive. And it's like, but he's dead though. But spoiler alert, I've been saying he's dead. He's dead.
No. Without jumping ahead too much, the only credit we can give that we've kind of alluded to or touched on was there was some like playing off of the idea of like a cult of Stu, but like Stu's dead. Yeah, but like the idea of like Stu being there alive in the background running this. They kind of like, I guess in these like little moments that I guess are clever is like people wanted Stu and we kind of predicted it that obviously he's dead and he's finito, but that was kind of how it was presented, was that like Stu still kind of behind this and things are happening, and so it kind of played up this idea of Stu existing in the cult of Stu.
Yeah, and I get why they touched up on it, because if you sing and then all the trailer and everything, you're like, we know Matthew Lillard's a part of this. We hear his voice. So like, of course, they're trying to set the tone, set the little Easter eggs early on. And what a clever one to have the podcast they're listening to as they pull up. Well, good on you. That's a fun little detail that I haven't really heard. I don't think I've heard any YouTube reviewer mention that line, which I think is nice little nod. I want to say this too. So that's the opening scene. At what point do you think the first act ends and the second act begins? Because that will help set the tone for where we're going forward.
For me, mentally, was when Psych Ward Killer was hit.
Carl, when he got hit by the car. Carl, okay. All right. Me too. Okay, that for me, I think that's the end of Act 1, and now we got to get into Act 2.
Gale enters, and now
now we're into Act 2. Okay, just to make sure that we're on the same point, because I was about to be like, okay, here's all these things in Act 1 that happen, or rounding out Act 1, and then I get to a point and you're like, but that's not where Act 1 ended. I'm like, well, we're it's not a debate show. We need to agree, which I'm glad we do.
But let's just argue over where the act ends.
Right? Yeah, and then before we know it, it's been 45 minutes. We're like, okay, people, thank y'all so much for tuning into this review where we did.
But I will say, just to quickly fill in, like presenting Sydney and where she's at in life, I enjoyed. Like, I feel like, coming off of the heels of like Halloween trilogy and me being a huge Halloween fan and seeing how they try to treat that. Obviously, Jamie Lee Curtis is older and we're dealing with like 40 years there. But I liked the dynamic between her and her daughter, and like even like her daughter gets out the leather jacket, and Sydney's gone through a whole lot and she's traumatized and she's trying to be a parent, and I'm like, I'm buying into this mother-daughter dynamic and their relationship. So like, I feel like, again, where I'll give some credit is that there's good acting. It's making me buy in. Like, I want this to be a good Scream film. It's not like it just completely shit the bed where you're watching this and you're like, what is going on here, right? So like, I feel like
I will say, even to that point too, even before we get to that point, just the minor scene where the boyfriend walks in the window and basically quotes Billy Loomis word for word, does the little, I was watching Stab on TV. I was like, this is so funny. Like, good. Yeah. I'm glad you're at least starting. Give me cheese in the beginning. Give me some cheese. This is great. This is corny. It's cheesy. It's schlocky. I love it though. Like, I want a little bit of that. Don't fan service me to death, right? I don't want a junk food buffet, but like, hit me with a little something. Hit me with a little cheese sticks before we get to the entree. You know what I mean? I kind of liked that little moment right there, and then it set the tone for the rest of everything else.
Did you notice in her room she had like a ghost face cartoon? On the wall, she had like a cartoon sketch of like Ghostface.
Oh, that's cool.
And I went into it sober, by the way. I'm not but
okay.
I felt that kind of like strange because of like her mom's like, well, I don't even have
that's her mom. It's her mom's enemy, essentially. That's that nemesis.
Yeah. And then even just seeing then how like, mom, like Sydney's still obviously dealing with it and has a right to be apprehensive of the boyfriend and all this stuff. But I was like, yeah, like you would have a little cartoon sketch of Ghostface on the wall. Like, I mean, I need to, maybe this is where I need to go back and watch again, but I'm 99% sure that there's like a small, like it's like a little small like gallery.
If you saw it, it's probably there. Yeah, no, if you saw it, it's probably there. But I will say, I do like their dynamic. It felt very like teenage gal and mother trying to, they still, maybe they got along, but they don't get along right now. I like Joel McHale. I'm like, okay, a little bit as like a husband to Sid, but I didn't like him as a father. Like, he didn't seem to do anything.
But do you think that's what I noticed? Like, with all that happens to him later, it just feels like disconnected.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I can get that a lot. Like, I was expecting him to be like, hey, like, listen to your mother or whatever. He just seemed very like,
he's just there. He's like, I'm bad. Like, I'm just going to work.
Very cucky, right? Like, just kind of in the background, just kind of like, you guys figure that. Like, bro, no, like, that's not the guy that Sydney would have married. Sydney would not have married some pushover. She would have married a real, like, you got to hold down the fort, like, because of her background. If we are to believe that, like, Sid in the back of her mind, and which she has, if she has a safe room, has been anticipating another attack at some point, she's not going to want some guy that's going to be pushed over and like, just kind of like, okay, well, maybe
I think they're doing renos on the house. And so he was behind building the safe room and the severity of the issue. And he knows where she's at. So yeah. He's not Mr. Nonchalant. Right now, he has like distant stepdad vibes. Like, he's just
right. Yeah.
like I don't want to get involved.
We gotta get involved. She's not technically my kid. He did have very much like weird stepdad vibes. Like, okay, well, yeah. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that shit. But I did like, and I could appreciate Sid and Tatum's relationship. I did appreciate, even it got brought up with Anna Camp's character with Jessica sort of, she's that conversation between a best friend and a best friend, like, to be like, what do you feel about this situation? My daughter, you know what I mean? You're a parent, like, but I'm like, that seems like a real conversation Sydney would actually have with like somebody who's a friend of her or a best friend of her, or like their kids go to high school together. That seems real. That seems really real, you know?
So just before we enter second act, like the house, like the ghost face dropping from the attic, I was looking forward to. Again, we saw it in the trailer. But then it just started raising questions. You and I already were talking about how is someone in the house? How did they have access to the house?
We still don't know.
We still don't know. And I feel like they were trying to, my guess, and it's a stretch, and maybe I'm trying to help them out here, is like the whole construction renovation thing with 1,000,000 plastic sheets for no reason. Like they're framing and there's like 20,000 plastic sheets. Everything's just like going like for no reason. But like I was like, okay, like, well, here's maybe an in. And I'm like, yo, what construction worker hates Sydney? Like who's pretending to be a construction worker and getting into the house?
Right.
That was like my detective mind right
and
there.
I mean, and I said that too. And I think in our first prediction videos, I'm like, this guy's popping out of the attic. We see that there's work on the house. Could be, you know, old Juan Pablo who's like been working. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like somebody there who's like, we see this character twice. Oh my God. Like, but that wasn't even the case. It was a crazy guy who gets coffee from Sydney's coffee shop, and like,
and he gave those crazy eyes. Like
he did give the crazy eyes, and for no good reason either. It wasn't even like, you know what I mean? Like that was weird. That's super weird. But like, we still don't know how he got in the attic. Like, we need to be able to explain real things, and that was just one of the things.
This is where it falls short to like the Scream standards, right? Is that
like,
in other Screams, like even if you have to piece things together, you're like, that's why he was in the attic.
Right. Yeah. I mean, let's go to like one of the best examples, like Scream 1, Sydney goes outside. The killer's in her closet. When she goes back inside, and he attacks her. Okay. He could have been there earlier because there is a moment where you kind of hear some creaking in the house. He could have came in while she was asleep. He could have came through when she went outside, walked around the patio, the porch, and he could have gone in there too. Like there are plenty of moments where we can sort of, okay, here. This could all make sense.
Yeah.
This one don't make no goddamn sense. Like that's the whole thing. And you're right. There is a standard of it.
But again, cool and how it like transpires on screen because again, Ghostface is like, I'm not hiding. I love that. Like I'm not hiding. I'm coming for you. Drops down, and so like again, the whole like divisiveness between it. If you're not like treating it like a proper screen film, you're like, oh, this is like, it looks good on screen. Like he drops down and he's like, again, very menacing, big in presence. Like I'm gonna come after you. I love the people under the stairs reference with the safe room through the wall.
Through the wall,
because when Daddy there was walking around in his latex outfit, his gimp suit, and then shooting through the walls, and that was very like, you know. And so again, we're seeing like here's the A student who's like showing the potential here and there, or like, you know, the reference to Stu at the party, right? Like where it's like if you really know, you know, but it's just there's too many gaps still, and there's not like a nice cohesive thread that's pulling us together. But alas, then we get to Act 2 and our killer is hit by Gale.
I was like, they're gonna do this shit where there's gonna be 3 killers. Like as soon as they went outside, and I saw what the time was, and I was like, holy shit, they're gonna kill this guy or they're gonna unmask him, and we still have a whole nother hour. And we're still going to be like, but who's the actual killer? Sure enough, they did that shit. Like they kill him. Like they ran him over. I remember we got hit with a car. I was like, oh shit. I don't know if everybody else in the theater heard me the first time. There was only 2 other people because I went to a very, very late showing Thursday. But they probably laughed when they heard me. But when you see Gale and the twins come out, you're like, oh snap. Super Avengers moment. They might as well just play the Avengers theme as soon as they step.
And again, like, so we talk about like references like throughout, like Halloween, we saw like in the opening act, the girls are walking and the leaves are glowing. It's a nod to Halloween. And then Halloween 2 with like the fake Michael Myers getting hit by the car. I was like, okay, cool. Obviously this guy was involved, so it's not a fake, but that his demise is that he gets run over by the car. I was like, cool. Like I'm seeing these like clever nods to franchises, to the previous installments in the franchise. So this is again where I kind of like give some sympathy and bonus points, but it's just not really gelling together quite yet.
Yeah, and there's some stuff that we left out of Act 1 that we have to question in this moment. Like at this point, Sidney gets a call from Stu. Like she gets a call from the killer, who then FaceTimes her, and it's Stu. And you're like, oh shit, is Stu alive? Like for never one moment did I think Stu was alive. I'm like, whoever AI'd this they're doing good. Like this is a great AI. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then we get the attack on the 2 students in the theater. You know, the one sort of weirdo kid who's like controlling the lights or whatever. And then Grace McKenna's character, who I don't know what her name is. That's the thing with this movie. I don't know the name with a lot of these side characters. And that seems to always be a problem because like at least want to know who you are. But when she gets killed, like it was kind of a fun kill because he's kind of like stabbing up as she's swaying back and forth. And then when he put that knife out, they just seemed very like a great, but like so brutal, like something that like Jason would do or like Michael Myers would do, or you know what I mean? Like something, one of these crazy.
In my head, I thought that like I was like, this is like a prime example of like. My brain went in 2 places. I'm like, well, with Terrifier 3 coming out and Terrifier movies going and pushing the envelope again on what we accept as gore in horror, I think like it did kind of set a precedent. So like I feel like Scream leaned into that, but also like you and I talked about Scream 4 and like the bedroom scene and like
so brutal.
Yeah, so I was like, I got like Scream 4 vibes too, where I was like, okay, we're in a place in horror where it seems like we're kind of going back to like splatter and gore, and we're embracing that, like you said, off the bat with the first kill in the opening scene, the knife through the head. And so yeah, this one here, I love the kill. So again, like here's my tug of war. I'm like the body swaying and just like slicing at her and then like cutting her open.
Wild. Yeah. As a fun kill. And I was like, dude, this killer is brutal. But we don't know, is that Marco, who's hours away, that we find out later, is that Jessica, you know, if she's with her son, how could it be? Is that Carl? Is that crazy Carl? You know, like did he get a little kill and then went back to the, you know, Sidney's place? Like we don't know, you know, we don't really know. So we call him from here on out. It's Crazy Carl because he's crazy and his name is Carl.
I'm good for alliteration, man.
But that brings us to they unmask him, and she's like, "This is a guy from the coffee shop," and we're like, "We've only seen him once," and she's like, "Well, Stu called me, so like we got to go do more investigating. You know, Gail, let's go do investigating." And then he calls her back, right on the FaceTime. Yeah. And shout out to Matthew Lillard. I do think he was one of the highlights of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Playing an AI version of himself.
Yeah. I saw someone online. They were like, he must be so upset. Like, did he give the full rights to use him as AI?
Oh, no.
And I was like, wait, do you know what's going on here? Like, yeah. Like,
wait. Yeah. That's him. You're like, that's him. I don't know what you got. That's him.
But like to that point, right? Like again, like so watching him on screen, we know how eager he's been. He's talked about it for years about like
to come back.
Franchise. So hearing him deliver those messages, I love that. Like I being someone who was like, it's not Stu, don't make it Stu. We know what the purpose is here, but I'm like, this is fun. Like just like him kind of having that crazy and making threats, and like, you know, it's not him, but you understand the implications of like how that would mess with, again, Sidney seeing him on there, right? And I'm like, again, so I'm still like, okay, there's holes. Like it feels a bit like clunky, I would say is the best word to kind of put it so far. But you're having these moments where I'm like, okay, this is fun. But I'm still sitting here, like here we are, Act 2, and I'm like, where is this going next? So Gail and Sidney are going to investigate where Stu is and where this psych patient Crazy Carl came from.
Right. And they end up going to the psych ward, right? This is the psychiatric hospital. And here's the thing. It's a psychiatric hospital. And Cindy goes, I know of a psychiatric hospital a few hours away. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means 2 hours. I don't know if that means 3 hours. I don't know if that means 4 hours. I'm going to guess in my head let's go with 2 hours. Yeah. Right. For sake of simplicity, that 2 hours. But this all adds problems that they didn't need. The psych ward place could have just been in town. It did not need to be 2 hours away, because now
you see what I'm saying? Like easy editing, where it's just like, you know, let's just say, I know a psych ward up the street.
Right. Yeah. On the other side of town, or the north side of town, and the outskirts of town, you know.
Yeah.
It does not have to be a few hours away, because when you make it a few hours away, when you find out who the killers are, and we'll get there, but like, you're like, so you drove into town just to kill people, and then you drove back, like, so then then at the end of the day, you're still like, but then who went to Woodsboro? Who did you take time off of work? Did you take time off of work at the psych ward to go to Woodsboro? I don't understand. Make it make sense. Good, I will say too, so we get to the psych ward and we meet Ethan Embry, who I knew was in this movie. I saw him be casted in this movie. I didn't know the part he was going to play, but as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, he's a killer. Like, they wouldn't just like make Ethan Embry Marco the psych ward guy. Like,
yeah, there's a little bit too much emphasis there. And you know, on my radar is when he said, "Oh, like Stu, John Doe or
John Doe, yeah."
And I was like, because again, like I'm still not buying that Stu's alive.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's saying he is, I'm like, well, he's misdirecting, and then we learn. So
right.
I was enough. I channeled my inner Blake for that one, and I was like,
but also too, this means that. Why does he just keep a room that's a blank room? Was that just somebody else's? Was that whose room was this? Like,
yeah, and there was nothing. Do you want to see his room? And I was waiting to see like Stu stuff. Like I was waiting.
There was no Stu.
Yeah.
And if that's not Stu's room, does that mean he just set this up and he doesn't let anybody? You know what I mean? Like, they probably need space for people like that. There's just this room that's just there for him to just like pretend when people come by to be like, oh yeah, it's the
Italian immigrant like living room where like there's like plastic on the sofas and it's just for show, like no one's actually
right. Nobody actually stays there, even though people need help and they're going to a psychiatric house for help. Like, you know what I mean?
Like, Marco, how about this room over here? No.
And he's like, no, you can't use that room, dog.
I'm waiting for the day someone looks for Stu.
Do you see?
Yeah,
the plot holes in this is crazy. Like, why? For who? You just go in there and hang out like when he wants a 15-minute break, or he went like, I don't want to have to work for the next hour. Let me just come in here real quick.
He takes naps.
Let me nap in here for old time's sake. You know what I mean? Like, what? This. Anyways, we meet creepy Marco, who's best. We find out is besties with creepy Carl. And it's here we get that cool moment where Gail's like, let's do an interview. And as soon as she said that, I was like, yes, let's go. We have been waiting 30 years for this interview, girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'm down with this. And then we get some more setup into the rest of like, as they're setting up that interview, all the kills and the thrills, we get the kind of some rules from Mindy, whatever, at the bar. They all gather the suspects. But I knew when they gathered all the suspects, I was like, it ain't nobody here. Like, I just had a feeling like it ain't nobody here.
And it's weird because usually, like, we've learned in the past that it might very well be somebody there. And watching it on screen too, for me, I right away thought like, yeah, the way they're doing this, I'm like, it's definitely none of these people.
I don't know if it's just the way that they set it up or the way that they are obvious. Like, well, Mindy's like, well, I think it's this. I think it's creepy guy, and like, you know. It was her brother's like, well, I think it's a boyfriend, you know. I think, what did he say, knockoff Billy Loomis or whatever he said, you know, like, or Gen Z Billy Loomis. Chad, that's right, Chad's his name. But like they're picking their own suspects, but in my head I'm like, I don't think it's anybody here. And then when you deduct everybody and you're like, it's nobody there, there's literally only 3 people left that we've met up into that point. There's Jessica, there's the psych ward guy who we've only met once. And I think they cheated. I think they cheated a little bit because always my rules. I say we always meet the killer in the first third of the movie.
Yeah.
And we don't meet Marco until it's the end of I think it's the beginning. Like I thought about it, you could kind of stretch it. It's the end of Act 1, but it's the beginning of Act 2. We don't meet him until Act 2.
Well, no, you and I agreed where like Act 2 begins. So
right.
to me, it's definitely
that's Act 2. You're Act 2. Yeah. You're an hour into the movie. You're in Act 2, and like we didn't meet him until then. The movie's cheating. Like the movie is cheating you, just so you can try and not suspect him, and he still comes off as the most highly suspected suspect that's ever suspected. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And it's left off by the fact they don't include him in the promotion marketing, the materials. Yeah, because he's only in one scene. Like that this can't be. You need to put all the people, give them more to do, give them more scenes. That way we're like, well, they're in all the scenes. Like they were there when the killer attacked. That's the whole point of Scream. Like the people, perfect example. Scream 2, when Sydney's at the party, right? Everybody's leaving the party. We know nobody's at the party house. And still somehow Sydney gets attacked. And then what happens is Derek runs in, you know what I mean? And like he goes and he scuffles with the killer. Then we see Dewey come around, and then we see the sorority sisters come around. And it's like one suspect after another. Another perfect example, after Mindy gets attacked in Scream 5, right? Like the killer flees. We know that it's not Sam because she's helping, but then we see Amber and Tara. Then we see Richie, and then we see Liv, and we're like, well, who is it? Like, because everybody's coming from different directions, like, and we know the killer went off in a direction. So like, who done it, right? It at least there's a little suspense there, and here there's no suspense because we don't know where all these people are.
Yeah,
the art teacher Marco and Jessica is what I mean.
Yeah, and that's doesn't help the case to when we're gonna make our way to the end. Was like, so you again, everything's about building up to the reveal at the end. And when you feel like you've given a fair shot to the audience to wrestle with this, and the characters are introduced early on, then even if like, and this is where like I guess like other ones that I can argue still had issues, but at least there's a through line where like, even if you didn't like the reveal at the end, it made sense. And you got all the characters earlier, and you had a fair chance at doing this. And here it's like you're just shoehorning in someone in the middle of Act 2, end of Act 2, to make it make sense. But like, that's not very Scream-esque.
No, not at all. It's not Scream-esque. It's not murder mystery-esque. You're not following the rules that you've been following for 6 movies. Every movie we have met the killer in the first third of the movie. And this is the first one you want to introduce a killer like halfway through and be like, okay, but you guys are never gonna guess it. And everybody guessed it. I think everybody saw him. They're like, he's he's a weirdo.
Yeah.
So and then it's still, you have to shoehorn in the fact that like he would have come into town hours away just to attack these kids. Like it's I don't know, but the highs of this are that scene where they are in the tavern. I'll give them that. That's a fun little scene. It kind of felt throwbacky when he's chasing Chloe in the kitchen and attacks Chloe, and then it kind of gets janky when like she stabs Chad, and then he slashes Chad, and he slashes Mindy, and then he chases Chloe. But then that scene gets a little crazy when he kills Chloe. But it's the kill, I think, of the weirdo kid. I forget his name, but I'll just call him Weirdo Kid. The one that knows all the true crime.
Lucas.
Yeah. When he kills Lucas using a beer tap.
Yeah.
My word, my friend. Have you ever seen those shit like that? You're a horror guy. Have you ever seen some shit like that?
No. And that's where, again, right? So it's like, if we're looking at just like these highs, I thought that was a cool kill, man. Like, come on, like on tap. And like, fun. You know what I love is like that, when it first happens and like the tap starts running, it's it's beer, and then it slowly turns red as it starts mixing in there and spewing out. And I was just like, yeah, man, like cool kill, like fun. But again, if this was, the bar is high. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like, again, if we're just like a throw anything at the wall horror movie, I can see how like Scream delivers in so many, Scream 7 delivers in so many ways. I love that kill. That whole tavern scene is a lot of fun. So I kind of felt myself still being like, ooh, like what's going to happen next? Mm-hmm. but we're all obviously the expectations also that we can play murder mystery here and do that in the background.
Right. And at that point, again, there's, especially when you kill off everybody, you know that there's only 3 people left, essentially. Like, we know it's not the boyfriend when she finds the stuff on the laptop, and you're like,
yeah,
okay. Also, weird saying, a bitch, I'm gonna kill you, Sydney. You
okay.
know, like,
that was like, I was like, okay, I'm all for like distractions or red herrings or whatever, and like the whole time they're like, oh, Sydney doesn't like him, and like it was too obvious. He's not going to be, Gen Z Billy Loomis,
right?
As they joked about. But I'm like, dude, your practice thing is like, you fucking bitch. Like,
yeah,
I was like, you could have done a better practice. Like,
you could have been like, hey, how's it going? This is just a testing. You know, like, why would you say that? You know what I mean? It's not necessary at all.
Just a test.
But I knew it wasn't him. And so then you see the Isabella May character Tatum getting chased by her own killer. So you have to figure, you look back and it's easier to tell, but like, you have to figure there's 2 killers. There's one chasing her and then one in the tavern at that point. And so we see that the whole chase scene through the small town that felt very like Halloween-esque, like what they were trying to go for. Very like, you know what I mean? Like, small town, nobody's home, it's curfew, the killer's coming around the corner.
Yeah, I feel like there was like more nods to Halloween, like just like even like the leaves blowing. And now here's the thing, I'm a sucker for like the fall vibes, and so like again, like in this like charity bracket here, I just keep chalking up things where I'm like, ooh, I could really like that. Where it's like it's small town, it's fall, it feels like like Halloween's around the corner, and but also the thing is that sometimes they want to make it like there's a huge police presence, but then like there's a curfew, but like they're just doing this in the streets and no one's on patrol or around. Again, it's kind of just like inconsistent in terms of like, is there a big police force? Is it just dad and a few friends? Like, at least like in the Halloween films, you kind of got that. Like, you kind of met the whole police crew early on, and what like Haddonfield looked like in terms of like police force for the most part.
Right.
You still have like a cruiser kind of going around at night. But I'm like, how is all this just transpiring in the streets? And even like I guess alarms would be going off to some degree here, and it's still the characters kind of duking it out, and not that the police are rolling up too. But
right, yeah, there's no police that are in this town. No, and especially like it was evident in Act 1 when like the killer is attacking in the house that they just cleared, and I thought there was supposed to be cops outside, and the killer goes out. Like, the killer goes outside.
They said we have the neighborhood on lockdown. Like, we have a neighborhood on lockdown.
The hell you don't. Like, you should have been outside that house and shooting that killer as soon as he came out of the house. Like, you got shit on lock, homie. Worst police force ever of all time. So we know they ain't gonna do shit in this town. Also, we skipped over the fact that Mark gets attacked in his garage, and which has, at that point, I think that killer, if we're ever gonna go through a video, it's like, who killed who? Well, he didn't die, but like I think Jessica would have been the one that would have attacked him.
Yeah,
couldn't have been Marco, because we see Marco wherever hours away. Crazy Carl's already pieced up and creased up. Yeah. So at that point, Jessica's next door. Yeah, that makes sense. That's fucking Jessica. But like I thought that mofo died. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I thought he would have died. We don't find out till later that he didn't. But like, they gave that scene away in the trailer. You know what I mean? That's another thing that they gave away, which is there's some infuriating stuff that happened in the trailer, you know what I mean? But also too, this cool thing that they did that I actually kind of enjoyed was the actual interview with Gale and Sydney. Like, I thought that was fun.
And I thought what was cool about that was that they seem like they're working really well together. Like, they've agreed they're going to investigate, and now they're going to bait out the killer doing this. But I still like that Gale is very Gale, and she kind of pushes the buttons with Sydney.
Oh, she's so Gale, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, ooh, like, because I thought this was going to be like very like romanticized, that they're just working together, and Gale still has to like put out these pressing questions, and Sydney's like, yo, don't mention my kids, don't mention my daughter, and she's just like the reporter and her still going. So I was like, okay, it's kind of true to character. Even though you'd think at this point, like they're just like, this is just a setup, like it's not really an interview, but Gale loves the interview. So I like, again, like, small stuff like this. I enjoy that, like the characters. So I feel like like Courtney Cox and Gale on screen, and Nev Campbell and Sydney, like I'm seeing great performances. Like, so this is when you know, when we get to this question of like, was Scream 7 garbage, or like the very polarizing views, I'm like, I like a lot of this. I feel like there's a lot of good elements. I feel like they're doing their thing. Like, if you know, arguably in some of the films, like I'm like, Nev Campbell is on point in terms of like her acting and the Sydney that we're having presented, and Gale. But I feel like it's well, we keep coming back to it's the script, right? That just doesn't do anyone justice.
Right. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anybody. Plot hole wise or pacing wise, or like this. There's just some weird choices that are made that all lead us to different like exciting moments. Like you're like, ooh, this moment's exciting. Ooh, this is good. But like, how did we get there? And what's the logic of how we got there? Right. On down to like the moment where we worked it up in Act 2. And I think this is kind of the end of Act 2, is starting to round out the end of Act 2, where, you know, Tatum's character's locked herself into the cafe, and the killer knows the code at that point, but we know that that's Marco. So he would have had to learn the code from Jessica, who learned the code from Sid. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like, what is happening here? But I mean, we obviously see the killer get shot in the trailer. Like we've seen that bit, but it's still fun to see in the moment.
I always love the walking over the dead body part, where it's like he's down, you know, shoot him in the head, and
he's not really. Well, we already knew he wasn't dead. And then we see her get taken. There was a moment of like the reveal, like the first reveal, which is the reveal of like, well, what's technically second reveal, but like we see that there's actually 2 killers, which we predicted that. I already knew there was going to be 2 killers. Even when they killed one, I'm like, there's still 2. This is the only way that this makes sense. And then we get to the most infamous part where you set this up in our last prediction video, because you were like, why freeze frame? And I saw the TV that came on in the background as Sydney walks into her house. Yeah. And that had everything to do with what I had said in our prediction video, which is, what if there's an AI thing and they're like all in the same room, and it goes from Stu and it goes to Dewey and it goes to Roman. Shout out to Miss Loomis. She was the one I don't think anybody knew was in this movie, but it was almost exactly like how I predicted. I was like, yeah, what if there's this moment where she sees this and it kind of just fucks with her? And that kind of does happen there in that scene.
Yeah, and I thought that, and like kudos to you, because I knew that I thought there'd be multiple calls. So when she's with Gale doing the interview, I thought like the call would come through as Dewey, like to kind of just turn it on Gale and be like, oh, like you're waiting for Stu to show up, and here's Dewey, and really show that like there's some fuckery going on, right? But like your prediction of like somehow this coexisting in the same room was really cool, how that played out with the TV coming on. Again, the nod to like, well, the TV is Stu, and Stu's supposed to die by the TV, but on the TV we get all these characters. So again, like, cool. I like that idea. I like how we're kind of pulling on nostalgia, but in this like forward-moving way.
I would have liked it even more. However, I would have liked it even more if the killers were de-aged, because it was just them now. Yeah. So in a way, it took me out of it, because I'm like, y'all doing a commercial? Y'all doing a commercial for something? Like what? Yeah. I don't believe y'all are the killer, because like Steve Foley looks a little bit older. Ms. Loomis looks a little bit older. Everybody looks a little. The only one that could have been was maybe Dewey, because he died old, and like there still would have been footage of him. But like, to make everybody look old is like that. Listen, for me felt lazy.
Like it was AI and then the old aging filter. Okay.
That had to have been what it was. Yeah, they put the Snapchat filter to make you look old. Yeah. Yeah, that's wild, dude. It was wild.
I thought about that too, and I was like, okay, like if you're gonna try to come to their defense, they're like, well, they're trying to make it like they're in the present talking. But I'm like, you know, at this point, Stu was the mystery, and in the movie they try to hype it up like they were saying his records disappeared. Which was also kind of like, to me, a lazy wait, like when they try to like fill in the gap there, and they're like, yeah, but his records weren't there, and they're like, well, were they there, and were they like deleted and all this stuff? Well, but I'm like, but the other characters, like, you can't say they're all aged and like trying to pass them off as like being in the present. So
yeah. If you thought for a fact, if singular moment that Stu was AI, in that moment you knew everything was AI, because that you've seen Roman Bridger die, you've seen Dewey die, you've seen Miss Loomis die. Like, this isn't up for debate. Like, if there was ever a question, you knew that all of them were AI at that moment, So that was a bit of a crazy scene, and that leads us all to almost the very end here, where we get our, Tatum being tied up, which, okay, classic nod to the first one, and then we get the killer reveal. How did you feel when you saw the killer reveal? Did you feel justified in being like, I could guess one of these guys? Did you guess both of them? How was that killer reveal to you before the motivation?
So Marco, I had my finger on the whole time.
Nice.
But then Jessica, I when it happened, I'll be honest, like, I didn't have like Jessica in there. Like, I figured like you do a little bit more of the math in terms of who's been presented and whatnot. I kind of just, I'm like raw dogging it just on, on like instinct and whatnot. But like, no, like, so then I was like, okay, like, then let me hear your speech, right? Because like, okay, so I didn't guess Jessica, I guessed Marco.
Who was the second killer that you thought when you were like, there's another person? Who is this?
So I still thought maybe someone, like, if it was like Lucas at the sorry, not Lucas. I was like, someone at the tavern maybe like did, because like the tavern was messy. So I guess for me, I was like, who really died there? Obviously, some were a little bit more pronounced than others, right? So I guess like for me, it was more like, is someone still trickling around? Because it was just, I think this is part of the reason too, like not having been presented a whole lot earlier on. Like, okay, technically they do introduce Jessica, but I'm thinking motive too, right? And then so to be honest, like I didn't really know who it would be, but Jessica shows up, and I'm like, okay, let me find out. When she said her crazy ex-husband, I was like, okay, there's a tie in there. Like, who is the crazy ex-husband?
Right.
We're gonna find something out here. And she's just like, no, he was just a piece of shit, and your book inspired me. And then also, you've been kind of busy lately, and it's pissing me off. And I'm like, and this is where like it just, I wanted to hang on for a bit too. I think as a genuine Scream fan, I was like, okay, there's a ton of issues wrong with this, but here's your chance. This is the stage, right? When like, for instance, like I've had tons of problems with like the reveal in Scream 6 because of just like who's involved, because I talked about like, this disconnect in Scream 4, like with like Ghostface and what he's doing, and the whole time we're like, oh, Gale has a damaged hand, and I mean, and when we see who's presented there, at least everyone gives their bit, and they're like, here's why we're involved. And I'm like, okay, Jessica, here's your stage. And she gives this lame ass thing about like being inspired, and that's where I feel like it just tanked for me in terms of like the respect for the film. I'm like, okay, you could have like, we could turn a blind eye somewhat to some of these plot holes, and because you're still kind of upping the entertainment factor, and we have good kills, and the actors are doing well, but like, make it work here. And I feel like it just was blown, and it just didn't sit with me well. And that's where I kind of feel like I even like physically, it kind of sounds ridiculous, but my demeanor changed, and even how I was sitting in the theater, where I was just like, okay, now like I'm kind of checked out. Like,
I'm checked out. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, when then like the secondary fight transpires at the garage and all, I'm like, okay, like I don't even care anymore, because like, I'm not like, I didn't buy into that. Yeah.
The Marco gets off so quick. Like, usually there's a struggle. That's what we love. I think that's part of the enjoyment of Scream 5, Scream 1. They
tease like the tension between Marco and Jessica. Like, like, I'm talking, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, we're kind of playing off of like what we've seen in the past, right? That like are like the tension, and the only thing that worked for was like the distraction for Tatum to get cut free,
by her dad.
Yeah. who's not dead.
Yeah. By the way, yeah,
he's like
Joel
bloody.
McHale
Dude looks like he's going to be wrapped up. He's the steak to go out on the grocery store shelves tomorrow, and he's just sawing away.
He's like, "Here's a little, let me just my last life force right now."
So did you know at this point, because like you're the master, man, this is your domain, did you know it was Jessica?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There was only 3 characters that weren't present at and the rest of everything that we had seen. There was the art director, there was Jessica, and there was Marco. And I was like, they're going to do something with Ethan Embry. Like, they're not just going to bring him for a 2-second role unless they're going to kill him, which when they didn't kill him and he got all these Go-Face running around, I'm like, well, they're not going to kill him, so he's got to be a killer. And like the other one just makes sense at this point. I don't know if they're going to lean art director or the theater director, right? Like, I don't know if they're going to
who's in the crowd when they're looking.
Yeah, they're like making it way too obvious. I'm like, okay, so it's not him. And the only person that we hadn't seen, this is a problem with Kevin Williamson in Scream 2, but like Mickey Altieri, where is he in the last 45 minutes of the movie up until, we see him in the cafeteria singing bit, whatever. Yeah. And then we don't see him until he reveals himself. There's like 35, 40 minutes. He's completely gone. And so when I didn't see Jessica, I was like, oh, a girlfriend. Yeah, is you. So yeah, that was, for me, I was very elated that I got it right. Very excited. But when I heard the motive, I was like, it's dog shit. This is dog shit motivation right here, dude.
Because I think like, the premise of calling out Sydney, it could be fun. It's like, it's strong. Like you can like, but then who's so upset? And again, even if it is like someone who's not super connected, like you need a better reason as to like why you're going to like burn it all down and call Sydney out, and not because she missed yoga with you, like
right,
you know what I mean, like or because you read her book, like it. And that's the thing for me is like I was leaning more in our predictions. I said, give me someone who's like not as obvious.
We kind of hit on it with Marco. You were like, give me a random guy named Bob, and it could be anybody not related. And that's kind of Marco's deal. However, they just didn't set it up right. Like,
that's exactly it.
We need to meet him a couple times. We need to see him. He's waving to a neighbor over there. He just, hey, that's just neighbor Bob. You know what I mean? Neighbor Bob happens to be just around, but we see him. But he brings somebody. Oh, hey, you dropped your billfold over here. Okay, well, he's a nice guy. Neighbor Bob's a nice, but they didn't do that. They gave us creepy Carl and they gave us creepy Marco one time.
Yeah, and not to go off, but listen, I once consulted Blake with something I was writing in terms of like murder mystery. And Blake, what's the first thing you said to me? Do you remember?
No. What was it?
Said, when do we meet your killer?
Oh yeah, that was
important. And at the time, I think it was like later on. You're like, you need, and dude, like it's still in the works, but you said you need to meet him first act, and he needs to be involved, and he needs to be like to some capacity present. So yeah, like if it's going to be Marco needs to be a little bit more driven and around, and he's like, you see him like, but you can't just throw someone at us for a 30-second scene.
Right,
showing us the empty Italian empty living room, and then be like, that's it. Like, here we go. We gave you your clue, right?
Yeah, you got him right. Okay, next movement. That doesn't make no sense. I will say the saving grace of not even saving grace. That's wrong word. Sorry. Let me reverse that. Rewind. Let's check that out again. One of the best things about the ending, and probably it's like the only best thing about the ending, is when it's 2 bits when they shoot the killer in the face, but like 1,100 times, and the face is blown off because you got to shoot the killer in the head, right? So it's like that. They just take it into overdrive, and you shoot the killer in the head so many times that there's no head to be had. Yeah. And then Sydney's line afterwards that says, "Past my prime, bitch, please," and then walks away. I was like, yep.
Yeah, and see, and that's where like like digging into like your inner Scream fan, you're like, oh yeah, girl, like and like and like they, both of them triumphantly are just shooting in the head, and I love that, and that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like the acting and like those moments are so on. Like it didn't feel stale or outdated. Mm-hmm. Like and I feel like that's where like if I had saw the not reviews but like headlines or negative reviews going into it, like or at least like the teasers of it, That's what I was expecting, right? And this is where I, like, before you and I talked, I said, we're like, in defense of the film, like, there's entertainment. The acting's good. Like, I've seen a lot worse in the last few years in horror, right? I just feel like even the potential that's there of the story can be fresh. And I love, like, the bringing in Tatum and the daughter, but just there's too many issues with the writing and
absolutely
and the through line of tying this all together in that common thread.
I didn't like, there was, and you know what? Even people have questions about this, man. And let's read one of the funnest, I think, comments that we got on one of the video that I just put out today. So we're recording this Sunday evening. I'm gonna read this comment because I think it is to your point of what you're saying here. People have questions. We have questions. And luckily it's only one comment. So let's read this real quick. This is from Hotkey AFL. I've only seen it once, but here's my take from memory. The open scene still annoying to me. The camera was on the robot Ghostface for so long, and the couple went in and out of the room constantly. Who made the phone call to them? We answered that. Where was the killer hiding? We didn't answer that because we don't know. They didn't make a sound, and then all of a sudden, robot Ghostface on the floor. And they didn't stop to notice the killer acting differently, but they did stop to notice the killer acting differently, but didn't notice the robot on the floor. Neighbor's kid had the fakest death scene ever on screen. I think they're talking about Lucas. Was he one of the killers before his mom turned on him? That's a good theory. We need to look into that. I mean, the three killers wouldn't have known how to use the harness so well in the theater to kill that girl. I mean, a lot of those switches had, kind of tags on them.
I feel like they made it super, like, blunt, like left, right, up, down.
Right, yeah.
Like an NES controller.
You don't got to know the everything about it. Renovations gave Jessica away in her husband's story early on. How did she know the code to get into the cafe, though? Well, it wasn't her. It was Marco, because Marco is the one that admits getting shot. But she would have had to have known it, right, at some point. It says, did she get there at 8:45 and see Sydney putting in the code? Nope, she wouldn't have gotten close enough. And don't give me that hacker nonsense. Pretty sure Gail would have been killed just like everyone else, whoever sits in cars looking at a property. Most poorly designed panic room ever seen. I love how quickly people move on from trauma as well. Killer on the loose. I want to help you solve it, Mom. Dad lying on the ground, bleeding out. Still time for a girl boss moment and one-liners with mom and daughter. What a funny, I mean, the dad's dying, and they're like, real quick, let's just get some one-liners off.
And at the end, back to cuck stepdad. Like, he's in the ambulance, and like he's like, we've seen it in Scream movies before, right? Like, someone just barely made it through.
Yeah, they're like hand up or something.
And this is like your husband or your father.
And she didn't go in the emergency.
She was kind of like, you good? Like you're gonna, like, I'll see you later. Like, dude, severely stabbed, man. Like he's not looking good. Like, and it just, it seems strange where she was like, okay, like, yeah, see ya. And
okay, thanks, bye.
And then at the end with her and Tatum, they're like, okay, let's go check on your dad.
Yeah, let's go check on him now. Yeah. That actually could be his last car ride. We just don't know that.
Yeah.
Mike, we covered a lot in this review. All in all, what would you say if somebody said, should I go see this movie? What's your answer?
Yeah, I'm still going to say, like, if you're a Scream fan, 100%, because, like, you know what, maybe it's more fun now because you're going to rip it apart because you're so loyal to the Scream rules and what's been established beforehand. But again, I do think it delivers strong acting, really good spots, awesome kills, but it just doesn't live up to the standard in terms of writing that we've known to come from Scream. So I would still watch. I'm going to watch it again. I'm going to go watch it again, even after this conversation. So that should say something. Just again, give it another look through, and see if that cartoon picture's on the wall in Tatum's room.
I'm going to
just walk out after that.
I'm going to go watch it again with my mom because she hasn't seen it, and nice. we'll figure it out. But Yeah, now I'm gonna look out for the Ghostface cartoon in Tatum's room. I will say this: I've been getting asked this question a lot. Was this new Scream? Is it good? Should I go see it? I will say this: go watch it. Go watch it once, especially if you've seen the rest of them. It's well worth the watch. And then what I'm not telling everybody is like it's not my favorite Scream. It's my least favorite Scream, in fact. Yeah. But it's still important to watch within the series. Like it's still well worth one watch. You might have some fun moments. You might not have a fun movie experience in comparison with the rest of Screams, but if you turn your brain off for a little bit in some moments, you won't have as many questions as me and Mike. So dismiss a little logic a little bit and you'll have some fun. But I hope that when it comes to Scream 8, which is they roll it into production because this movie's already made so much money, I hope we get some sort of better showing.
Yeah, and I guess like the thread that is holding this all together is that we know that this was a quick pivot. Mm-hmm. It was, and if you go back to my analogy, it was the night before the project was due, right? With all the given circumstances. So does 8, like, do we see more of a cohesive picture, a better written script in 8 with like the time to really tend to it and think it through and give it the treatment that it deserves? And that's where they'll always have us by
the short hairs on our balls. Yep.
No, yes, that's because we can say all we want right now, but you're like, you know what? Like, okay, give them a fair shot. Like, okay, this was kind of like maybe the bridge to something else. Even though I feel like it's still a very big missed opportunity with what they could have done. I love like the daughter being involved now, the dynamic, and using her as bait. Like I enjoy the main core ideas,
right?
But just how it's executed wasn't theirs. But again, we're all gonna go watch 8. And, yeah.
Can't go any lower than here though. That's I hope not. I don't think it can. If this is the lowest that you get out of a Scream, the franchise is still, I think we've got some good movement behind it.
the only thing I like as a final thought is I can see, like, when we moved into Scream 5 and 6, there was a clear departure from Sydney, and so in 5 there's a sprinkle of her in there, and then 6 we knew on the back end that it was a financial thing, but she's kind of like just mentioned and that's it, right? They're like, she's sitting this one out, she's
right, yeah,
laying low. So then now that we've gone full-fledged back into this, do we double down on that more, or do you then again try to reinvent it and push it to new characters and new actors? And that's where I'm curious where 8 will head. And we don't know.
We don't know. Yeah. Did Mark make it through? Will Tatum be around for another attack round with her mom and fight off Ghostface? I don't know. You don't know, but that's where we're left off with in the small town of Pine Grove, Indiana. Mike, this has been a great review experience. One last question. Just review it on a number scale from 1 to 10. You can even use point, this point something. Yeah. What would you rate this?
An extremely light 6.
Oh, yeah.
And if you made it this far, it's just because of all these like little like nods and bonus points. Because I feel like it would land lower, but I'm like, those moments are rescuing it. I think like a really like light 6 would be.
Yeah, I said 6.8, and I was so far off. I should have gone with like 5.8, 5.9. I'd go as high as 6. Like that's about the highest that I can go to actually for this movie. Go ahead and watch it out there if you haven't already seen it. Well, if you're watching this, why the hell are you ruining it for yourself? Honestly, but if somebody asks you, I would recommend to tell them just go ahead and watch it. It's well worth the watch, especially if they've already watched the other Screams. Like, ain't no use in missing out on this one just for the 8th one to be a better version of whatever this was. Mike, it's been a pleasure having you on to round out this adventure, man, that we started back in November when this trailer came out. I want to thank you, shout you out, let people know where they can find you, anything you got going next, anything you got cooking and brewing. Let people know. Take over the show right now.
Man, just the usual. My daily muses and horror whiskey pairings are on Instagram at Whiskey Morgue. Podcasts on YouTube, Spotify, anywhere where you stream your stuff. Doing a ton of fun stuff on there in terms of like interviews, people in music, whiskey, horror, obviously. And I got a new show that I just launched called After the Last Rental. I'm doing with my friends from Terrarax Video over on YouTube, which has been a lot of fun. They have a home video store. We pick a movie, we pick a drink, and we do our thing. So
sounds incredible.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah, it's fun. Always doing this, and a pleasure, man. Blake, thank you, man, for letting me join in and do your thing. Like, man, I'm a fan. You are the maestro. You are the detective, and I'm a friend, but I'm a genuine fan as well, man.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Same here, bro. Love everything you're doing. Everybody go follow Whiskey Morgue. Everything he's doing. Everywhere he's at, just go ahead and follow him. And while you're doing all that, go ahead and follow me, Money Blake, whether Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. You can follow Nerds at Night, Instagram, Twitter. Also here on YouTube, if you're not already, click subscribe, click like, comment your favorite moment. Did you have a favorite kill? Did you have a least favorite moment, a least favorite kill? Let me know all your crazy thoughts in the comments, how much you dislike this movie, if there was some sort of saving grace where you're like, I almost hated it, but then this moment happened. Let me know anything you want to in the comments. I love talking with all of y'all so much. Look out for a few more breakdowns that I have coming, Scream 7 related. I want to see if I can figure out, before Zach Cherry does it, I want to see if I can figure out who killed who, and then I want to maybe rank my Screams after this movie comes out, because I think we deserve a ranking. So I appreciate that. Appreciate y'all's time. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Like I always say, whether it's morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time you're listening to this, I do appreciate you. And until the next case, until the next episode, I will see ya. Peace.